Many years passed since Anna graduated from high school. Today she was an accomplished woman with a good job, money, and respect. The memories of her difficult past were still vivid. Anna often wondered why she became so successful. What motivated her to keep going despite her poverty? As a psychologist, I've helped many people achieve success, and I can say that Anna's case is exceptional because her motivation was very powerful. It was vengeance. In today's video, I'll tell you about the cases of several girls who wanted to take revenge on their tormentors. First, we'll look at the story of the poor girl. All the girls in class laughed at me. None of them imagined that someday they'd have to apologize to me. I grew up in a poor family. My parents couldn't afford new clothes or shoes for me, so I wore hand-me-downs from older girls in my family. Imagine how I felt when they told me these were ugly and I should throw them away. Sometimes I walked into school wearing boots with mismatched uppers. Most likely these were a gift from some well-meaning aunt who didn't know my size. In general, I wasn't particularly interested in fashion, but the other girls didn't think that was okay. They made fun of me constantly. There were times when I stayed after class just to avoid passing by the changing rooms. I was afraid that the other girls might rip my clothes and throw them through the window. Luckily, my teachers protected me. If they saw the other girls snickering, they'd immediately send them out of the classroom. Still, I spent most of my school years feeling uncomfortable in my own skin. After graduating from high school, I went to university. It was a great place with a lot of creative people. At first, I didn't want to draw much attention to myself. I didn't think anyone would want to be friends with a nerdy girl wearing glasses. However, I soon realized that my appearance didn't bother anyone here. We were all so focused on our own problems and creative pursuits that I found it easy to fit in. One day, I decided to buy new glasses. I saved up for them for half a year. I chose frames that were stylish yet affordable. From that day on, people started inviting me to parties. Even the popular girls began noticing me. I even made friends with a couple of them. It turned out that they weren't as spoiled as they seemed. But the strangest thing happened when we were invited to a party at one of the rich girls' houses. I was shocked to find out that she lived in an apartment smaller than my 3-room flat. It was clear that her parents were trying to make her life as comfortable as possible. Maybe that's why she always wore designer clothes. When I arrived at the party, everyone greeted me warmly. But when I entered the bathroom, I saw something that changed everything. 3 girls stood in front of the mirror, laughing. One of them was my friend. Did you hear? Rumor has it that Dasha comes from a very poor family. Apparently her dad works as a janitor, one of them said, pointing at me. No wonder she looks like she does. Oh, come on guys, let's not talk about her anymore. I think she's really cool, said the owner of the house. But the other 2 girls kept talking about me. I bet she has roaches at home. Those poor people always do, said one of them. Let's ask her to show us her phone. I'm sure it's an old Nokia, added the second girl. Yeah, let's ask her, said the first one. I was so angry that I wanted to scream. But instead, I quietly left the bathroom and found my friend. What are you doing here? Why didn't you stop them? I asked her. I tried, but it was no use. They don't listen to me, she said, lowering her eyes. I understood that she was embarrassed about our different backgrounds. It made me feel even angrier. I think I spent the entire party plotting ways to get back at those girls. The next day, I posted a photo of the 3 of them on social media, along with the caption, "The most unkind girls I've ever met." Within a couple of hours, the post went viral. They made fun of my old phone, so I posted photos of their 10-year-old iPhones. They mocked my appearance, so I shared pictures of them in unflattering outfits. It was sweet revenge. Plus, they'd never understand that it was me who did it. After posting the pictures, I blocked them on all social media platforms. I didn't want to see their nasty comments. To my surprise, they didn't dare talk to me at school anymore. They also stopped inviting me to parties. Of course, I didn't miss the chance to gloat over my victory. Now they were the ones who felt uncomfortable. This experience taught me an important lesson. If you're strong enough, you can easily defend yourself. You don't need to turn the other cheek. Moreover, sometimes it's better to be meaner than others. We have something else in common with my subscribers. They love sweet revenge stories, but there are times when revenge goes too far. Just like in the story of the girl who took her revenge on her bullies in high school, by posting unflattering photos of them online. But what happens when revenge takes on a life of its own? How far is too far? When I was in 8th grade, I was having a hard time. I was teased a lot, especially by my classmate Regina. One day she poured orange juice over me while I was sleeping in class. Of course, I was furious, but I didn't know what to do. Regina was the leader of the in-crowd, and her parents were influential people in town, so no one dared to stand up to her. I tried telling the teacher about the incident, but she didn't believe me, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. A week later, Regina came to school wearing a new white jacket. During class, I waited for the right moment and splashed her with orange juice. She was furious, but this time the teacher sided with me. Regina was suspended from school for a week. It was my first victory. Emboldened by my success, I decided to deal with the rest of the popular girls. I hacked into the school's Wi-Fi network and changed the passwords on all the computers. When they tried to connect, they saw a message saying that their accounts had been disabled. On Monday, I changed the passwords again. Some girls managed to get into their accounts, but they found a new message waiting for them. It read, "If you want to regain access to your accounts, bring a laptop and password reset disk to school tomorrow. We'll see." The next day, 5 girls came to school carrying laptops. I gave them disks with new passwords and deleted their old accounts. They were so scared that they started begging me to restore my files. I refused unless they brought me chocolates from the store. They agreed and even gave me a list of other items they thought I might like. Next week, I set up an anonymous tip line. Every day during recess, I received messages from different students about various things. I passed them on to the teachers. Thanks to me, a number of incidents that had previously gone unnoticed were exposed. Soon rumors spread throughout the school about a mysterious vigilante who was cleaning up the school. The students gave me various names like X-Ray Girl, Cyber Guardian, and Night Watch. I even had my own motto, "I am Justice." I continued operating the tip line until graduation. The funny thing is that none of the students figured out who was behind all this. Perhaps they were afraid that it might be one of them. Revenge can be both exciting and satisfying, but it's important to remember that true strength lies in being able to forgive and move on. By embracing compassion and understanding, we can break the cycle of negativity and create a better future for ourselves. Do you agree with that? Tell me about a situation when you had to stand up for yourself. Subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more interesting videos. See you soon. Bye. The morning after the school dance, Anna woke with swollen eyes and a heavy heart. Her patched dress lay crumpled on the chair, the symbol of her humiliation. For a moment, she wanted to stay in bed forever, but the sound of her little brother coughing reminded her that giving up was not an option. She dressed quickly and went to the diner. Her usual spot was taken by a newcomer, a tall boy with a mop of red hair. He looked at her with wide blue eyes and mouthed, "Sorry." Anna nodded, still too choked with emotion to speak. She scrubbed tables harder than ever. Every stain became her enemy. Every dish she washed another promise to herself. This life would not define her forever. Weeks turned into months, and Anna saved every coin she could. She stopped buying small treats, refused new clothes, and poured every cent into a jar hidden under her bed. At night, after her shifts, she studied by the weak light of a lamp, borrowing old textbooks from the library. Her hands smelled of grease and soap, but her mind clung to lessons and essays. Whenever exhaustion came, she whispered, "They laughed at me once. They won't laugh again." One evening, Mr. Harris noticed the pile of books in her bag. "What's all this?" he asked. Anna smiled shyly. "I want to apply for a scholarship. If I can get into the city university, maybe things will change." The old cook grunted, but nodded with pride. "You've got fire, girl. Don't let them put it out." At school, Julia and her friends didn't stop mocking. They sneered at her clothes and whispered insults, but Anna no longer bowed her head. She stayed silent, her eyes steady, as if telling them they no longer had power over her. Teachers began to notice her determination, impressed by her grades and her relentless questions. She stayed late after class, borrowed more books, and wrote essays that showed not just effort, but brilliance. Still, poverty pressed down on her shoulders. There were days she skipped lunch so her brother could eat, and nights she worked double shifts, her body aching. Then came the worst blow. Her mother's health declined sharply, and medical bills grew. One day, Mr. Harris handed her a crumpled $5 bill. "Here, take it," he said gruffly. "It won't help much, but don't spend it on frippery." Anna shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "No, thank you." I need to save for my brother's medicine. He needs an operation." The kind-hearted cook slapped her back. "Don't you worry your pretty little head. We'll sort something out." And they did. Every night they put a few dollars into a box for her. Anna couldn't believe people she barely knew cared so much about her brother. It touched her deeply. Then one day, Anna had to go to the pharmacy counter and stand there trembling with the bill in hand. It was more than what she had saved in the jar. She could use the money she had saved in the jar for her scholarship, her dreams, or her family. Tears filled her eyes, but when she saw her mother's weak smile and her brother's frightened face, she didn't hesitate. She emptied the jar on the counter, giving up everything for medicine. That night she sat staring at the empty jar, devastated, but then she whispered, "I can start again. I can always start again." And she did. She took on more shifts at the diner, cleaned houses on weekends, and offered tutoring to younger kids. Slowly, painfully, the jar filled once again. The scholarship deadline approached, and Anna worked harder than ever. Her hands blistered, her eyes burned, but she refused to stop. Finally, she submitted her application, praying it would be enough. Weeks of silence followed, and doubt haunted her nights. Was she really good enough? Had the laughter of her classmates been right all along? Then, one crisp spring morning, an envelope arrived. Her heart pounded as she tore it open. "Congratulations," it read. "You have been awarded the City University's scholarship. Full tuition and living expenses covered." The paper slipped from her hands as tears streamed down her face. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to hope. That evening, she shared the news with her family. Her mother wept with joy, and her little brother shouted, "You did it, Anna." Even Mr. Harris baked a small cake for her at the diner. But Julia sneered when she heard, "A scholarship. She won't last a semester. She'll drop out once she realizes she doesn't belong." Anna felt the sting, but no longer let it break her. The night before leaving for the city, Anna stood outside the diner one last time. The buzzing neon sign, the greasy smell of fried food, the memories of every humiliation she had endured, it all surrounded her. But tomorrow, she would leave it behind. And one day, she would return, not as the poor girl they mocked, but as someone they could never ignore. The city welcomed Anna with its cacophony of sounds and smells. Overwhelmed, she clutched her acceptance letter like a shield. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Anna threw herself into her studies, determined to make the most of this second chance. She joined clubs, volunteered at hospitals, and immersed herself in books. But there were times, late at night, when the city's lights couldn't pierce the loneliness in her heart. Those were the moments when the diner, with its warm glow and familiar clatter, seemed like a world away. Yet it was in those dark hours that Anna found solace in books. Stories became her escape, their words painting pictures of faraway lands and adventures. Through them, she discovered new worlds and possibilities, realizing that her own story was still being written. Meanwhile, Julia's taunts echoed in the corridors of her high school. "Look who's back," they'd sneer, pointing at Anna, the greasy waitress trying to look smart. Such comments stung, but Anna held her head high, her eyes focused on the path ahead. She knew that while they saw dirt under her fingernails, they couldn't see the fire in her soul. Then came the day when Anna stepped into a lecture hall, her heart pounding. The professor was renowned, his lectures legendary. Anna, armed with her trusty dictionary, followed his erudite ramblings through ancient texts and philosophical debates. Though she struggled, something within her bloomed, a thirst for knowledge that defied the grime under her nails. After class, she'd linger, asking questions that revealed her voracious appetite for learning. The professor, noticing her dedication, offered extra help, seeing in her a spark that transcended her humble beginnings. As the months passed, Anna's confidence grew. She excelled in her classes, impressing even the most cynical professors. Her peers, initially dismissive, now sought her out for group projects, eager to benefit from her insights. The very students who had once mocked her found themselves drawn to her quiet strength and sharp intellect. Anna, once the greasy waitress, became a force to be reckoned with. But amidst her triumphs, she hadn't forgotten her roots. She'd visit Mr. Harris's diner, sitting at her usual corner table, catching up with the man who'd believed in her when no one else did. For him, she was still the same sweet girl, her brilliance shining through her worn clothes. And then one day, a familiar snicker echoed through the crowded lecture hall. Julia, resplendent in designer clothes, strolled in with her usual entourage. Their eyes, trained to spot weaknesses, landed on Anna, her hair pulled back, her hands calloused, her dress a bit rumpled. A smirk played on Julia's lips as she nudged her companions, whispering something that sent ripples of laughter through the room. Anna, seated at her usual table in the corner, felt the sting of those smirks and the burn of those whispers, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she reached for her well-worn copy of Shakespeare, her gaze fixed on the page. Julia and her cronies might have thought they had wounded her, but they had only strengthened her resolve. For Anna knew that true brilliance couldn't be mocked, only envied, and as she delved deeper into her books, she realized that their laughter was music to her ears, a soundtrack to her success. With each turn of the page, she was proving them wrong, silencing their snickers with her brilliance, and in doing so, she was writing her own victory story, one that would echo long after their laughter had faded away. Life in the city was never easy for Anna. She slept on worn-out sofas, ate leftovers from bins, and walked barefoot in patched shoes. But Anna refused to let fear hold her back. She had a dream to break free from the cycle of poverty and make something of herself, and she believed that education was the key to open doors that had been slammed shut in her face. At 17, she found herself at the grand entrance of a prestigious university. The polished marble floors, towering glass windows and neatly manicured lawns felt alien to her scuffed sneakers and threadbare backpack. Inside, she was surrounded by students whose families' wealth allowed them to wear elegant clothes, drive shiny cars, and talk with an air of confidence that hid sharp minds. Anna, on the other hand, stood out as different. She wore simple outfits, kept her head down, and carried herself shyly, attracting curious glances and hushed whispers. Despite the intimidating atmosphere, Anna held on to her ambition. Each day she made her way through the hallowed halls of the university, determined to excel academically. In the classrooms, however, her shyness often got the better of her. While her peers confidently shared their thoughts, Anna struggled to find her voice. She longed to contribute but hesitated, afraid of being mocked or dismissed. The whispers in the corridors followed her like shadows, and for a moment doubt crept into her heart. Was it all too much to hope that she could succeed here? As the days turned into weeks, Anna found herself shrinking further into herself, her dreams of breaking free from her circumstances slowly fading. Then one day, something shifted within her. A realization dawned that she couldn't let the whispers define her or crush her spirit. So Anna started small. She began raising her hand in lectures, sharing her thoughts tentatively at first, but then with growing confidence. Her professors took notice of her sharp intellect and insightful questions, and her classmates, impressed by her determination, slowly warmed up to her. Still, there were moments when the weight of her situation pressed down on her. During late-night study sessions in the dim-lit library, she would gaze out the window at the sprawling city, wondering if she could really make a life for herself here. But then she would turn back to her books, fueled by the belief that education was the key to unlocking her future. Among her professors, one stood out, Dr. Collins, a brilliant legal scholar with a warm demeanor. He saw the potential in Anna and became her mentor, guiding her through the complexities of her chosen field and offering words of encouragement whenever she faltered. He opened doors for her, introducing her to research projects and internships that exposed her to real-world legal challenges. Soon, Anna's schedule was packed. Her days were filled with classes, her evenings with part-time work at a law firm, and her nights with studying. Exhaustion became her constant companion, but she pushed on, fueled by her dreams. Years slipped by faster than she expected. Anna blossomed into a bright young lawyer, her dedication and sharp mind earning her recognition and respect. Finally, the day arrived when she graduated with honors. Standing tall in a crisp suit, she looked back at the journey she had endured. No longer was she the poor girl in patched shoes. She was a testament to the power of perseverance. Her first case was a defining moment, defending a struggling single mother against a ruthless landlord. Anna's voice trembled at the beginning, betraying the weight of the responsibility thrust upon her. But as the trial progressed, her confidence grew. Drawing upon her own experiences, she argued passionately for her client, exposing the landlord's exploitative practices and championing the rights of the vulnerable. In the end, she won the case, securing a fair settlement for her client and establishing herself as a force to be reckoned with in the legal world. It was a victory that reverberated far beyond the courtroom, echoing the triumph of resilience and compassion. From that point forward, Anna's career trajectory was meteoric. She rose swiftly through the ranks, from eager lawyer to respected partner, and eventually she struck out on her own, establishing her own firm. Her reputation grew, drawing clients from all walks of life, each drawn to her unique ability to connect with people, understand their struggles, and fight tirelessly for their rights. Her work became her life, and she threw herself into it with unwavering enthusiasm. But amidst the demanding cases and endless paperwork, Anna never forgot the root of her passion. She had seen firsthand the harsh realities of poverty and the crushing weight of societal indifference, and she carried those experiences in her heart, using them as fuel to champion the voiceless, those who had been mocked or ignored, and help them find their voices. With each passing year, Anna's influence grew. She tackled high-profile cases that challenged societal norms and pushed for reforms that addressed systemic issues. Her arguments were razor-sharp, her presence commanding respect, and her determination relentless. She became known not just for her legal prowess, but also for her empathy and tenacity. Through it all, Anna remained grounded. Wealth and success did not change her. She was still the same driven young woman who refused to let her circumstances define her. With each passing year, her determination grew stronger, her intellect sharper, and her impact on the world more profound. She used her newfound wealth and influence to give back, supporting charities that championed causes close to her heart. She helped underprivileged students access education, believing that it was the key that had unlocked her own success, and wanted others to benefit from it too. One summer many years later, Anna returned to her hometown. Stepping out of a sleek black car in a tailored suit, she walked with purpose, her head held high. People on the sidewalk stopped and stared, disbelief etched on their faces. Could it really be her, the poor girl they once mocked? Whispers rippled through the crowd as they struggled to comprehend the transformation she had undergone. As Anna approached the familiar diner with its buzzing neon sign and greasy smell, the sight brought back a rush of memories. She pushed open the door and stepped inside. The room fell silent, every eye in the diner trained on her. Among them sat Julia with her friends, frozen in shock. Time had been kind to Anna, enhancing her features and adding a touch of maturity. But it was her aura of quiet confidence that truly commanded attention. "Anna," Julia stammered, searching for words. "It's been so long." A hint of recognition flickered across Anna's face, but it was quickly replaced by a composed calmness. "Yes, it has," she replied, her voice carrying the quiet strength that had become her trademark. That evening, Anna was invited to speak at the school auditorium, the same place where she had once been humiliated. Standing at the podium, she looked out at the sea of expectant faces, a mix of curiosity and apprehension on them. Years ago, she had sat in these very seats, wearing patched clothes and carrying torn books. People had laughed at her for being poor, telling her she would never be more. But today, she was here to tell them that their worth was not measured by their laughter and their future was not written by their cruelty, because it was written by them. As her speech echoed through the auditorium, the students listened, captivated. They saw in her not just a successful alumna, but a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of determination. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment, allowing her words to sink in. Then the applause began, thunderous and heartfelt. Teachers congratulated her warmly, students lined up to shake her hand, and admiration filled the halls that had once mocked her. Outside, Julia waited nervously. "I didn't mean those things," she began, her voice shaky. "We were just kids." Anna looked at her steadily, her gaze unwavering. "We were kids," she acknowledged, "but we made choices. And I hope you've learned from yours." With that, she turned away, leaving Julia in the shadow of the girl she had once mocked. That night, Anna sat on the porch of her mother's new house, a beautiful home filled with light and laughter. Her younger brother chased fireflies in the garden, his joy echoing in the twilight. Her mother sat beside her, a serene smile on her face. Looking at them, Anna felt a deep sense of fulfillment. True wealth, she realized, lay not just in money or success, but in love, dignity, and the strength to rise above. She had come a long way from the girl in patched shoes, who had dreamed of a better life. Today, she was more than just successful. She had become richer than all of them in every way that truly mattered. The girl they had laughed at for being poor had risen to become a beacon of hope and an emblem of resilience. And as the stars twinkled above her, she knew that her journey, though arduous, had been worth every step.